folks over their brand. The Melanin Project is a wellness brand. It's teaching people how to amplify their wellness through self-love and conversations centered around transformation and adulting. The task is to listen to their episode and not complain. Because I'll tell you, it is absolutely amazing. This is a fantastic, fantastic program. We want you to go over and check it out today. We have got a great guest going to join us here in just a few moments. We are going to go to the telephones. We have got a great guest with us today here on our big program. And how are you, my friend? How are you, Harlan?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
We have got a great guest with us today talking a little bit about the latest book. And before we get into that, check out harlanhill.com. It's harlanhill.com. So tell me about this Nikki Haley situation. She says if Biden wins, all the progress that Trump has made will go away. Give me your thoughts and feelings on this, my friend.
Well, I have to acknowledge that I agree with Governor Haley. You know, I am not her biggest fan, despite the fact that I'm a South Carolina native. You know, I think that she represents more of the Republican Party of the past than of the present and future. But I think that she's right. And it's not hard to identify why she's saying this. It's clear, it's evident to anyone that's looking at this honestly that a President Joe Biden would represent a total abdication of the voters' role in deciding who their next president is. I mean, the discussions around Washington, D.C., where I'm based now, the question that everybody is asking and debating is, does Joe Biden have dementia or Alzheimer's? You know, and we don't say this gleefully, but it's just the truth. I mean, the man cannot even form words in such a way that he can speak coherently, that he can form a sentence. It's really, really sad. And were he to be elected, he's going to abdicate his role as president to people who are unelected bureaucrats that are making decisions on behalf of the nation with zero accountability to the voters. And that is a dangerous, dangerous precedent. And his advisors, or the people that he's surrounded by, are radical, far-left socialists. His cabinet will be made up of people like AOC. I mean, she could be the Secretary of Energy or something. I mean, it's not hyperbole. It's certainly within the bounds of possibility. And so, if we don't win this year, the future is truly, truly unstable.
We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our broadcast. Harlan Hill's with us today. His latest book, They're Not Listening, is widely available. It's available on Amazon. And Harlan, of course, is a Republican political consultant and commentator. You've seen him on Fox News, Fox Business, and MSNBC, among others. He's a managing editor at Logan Circle Group, which is a public relations and political consulting firm. And he's also on the advisory board for President Donald J. Trump's reelection campaign. HarlanHill.com is the official website. So your book, you guys co-wrote this book. Tell me a little bit about the book and why people should go pick it up.
Well, working on campaigns around the country, it's become evident that the elites in this country, both in the media in New York and in the political establishment in D.C., have been wholly unresponsive to the pleas of the working class people in this country to do anything about the plight that is rotting our country from within. We have communities that are falling apart, that are being decimated by the opioid crisis. We have communities that are falling apart at the hands of globalization that is sending our jobs overseas to enrich Chinese corporations as they exploit basically slave labor. We have communities that are rotting as illegal and legal immigration are driving down our wages and displacing American workers. All right, this is not a joke. This led to the Trump revolution. Had this not happened in 2016, had the president not been elected and released the pressure valve of democracy, then the consequences would have been much more grave. there would have eventually been someone that rose to power that would have given voice to people that were very, very frustrated, and it would have been somebody that was much more radical than President Donald Trump. At his core, he is a pragmatic leader. He is a responsible and moderate but principled leader, and it should be a relief to those on the left. It should be a relief to independent voters across this country that voters elected someone who is as relatively predictable and moderate across the spectrum as President Trump. He is not at all what they portray him to be. All right, he reflects the vast majority of Americans' perspectives on immigration. He reflects their views on trade. He reflects their views on nation building at home instead of nation building abroad. All right, this was an opportunity for Democrats to come to the table and to negotiate with somebody that they could have found common ground with. The issue that I'm most flabbergasted by, the Democrats have not come to the table to negotiate with the president on, is infrastructure. The president wants to do, going back to 2016, Hillary Clinton wanted to do $500 billion worth of infrastructure investment in this country. President Donald Trump, then candidate Trump, said, I want to do $1 trillion worth of infrastructure investment in this country, right? And so that is some common ground that if Democrats were honest brokers of power, if they wanted to honestly negotiate with Republicans to find common ground to advance the interests of their constituents, they would have started with that. Have we gotten anything nearly approaching that? No, zero. And so they should be ashamed of themselves. But I'm not. I mean, as a former Democrat myself, I can tell you that they're first and foremost interested in their proximity to power. I mean, I worked with different leaders in the Democratic establishment and labor unions before I became a Republican, and it took me years to really make that transition. It didn't happen overnight. But I can tell you, it's the same reasons they don't care if Joe Biden is a coherent and politically aware president should he be elected. Being honest brokers of power is completely irrelevant to them. It is about acquiring it, and they will solve those problems later. They have a radical agenda that can be carried out by a series of bureaucrats. It's completely irrelevant who's at the top of the ticket.
We have got a great guest with us today. Harlan Hill joins us here in our program. He's got the great book, They're Not Listening, How the Elites Created the Nationalist-Populist Revolution. And he's one of the co-authors of the book, and he joins us today here on our telephone, talking a little bit about this book. So what's been some reviews and feedback you've gotten on this book so far, my friend? Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten glowing reviews. On the cover of our book, actually, is the review from Ann Coulter, Michelle Malkin, and others. I mean, we've gotten great reviews. The book is selling very well. It's currently on back order on Amazon, so if you go on Amazon, you can still place the order, and it'll come to you soon. Or go to Barnes & Noble, and you can pick it up there. But we're in a third printing, despite coronavirus and how it's held us up. People are really responding to this book, and it has exceeded my expectations. I'm a first-time author, we wrote this book. It has over 700 citations. We wrote it almost as a handbook. As you're going out there and you want to start owning libs, and you want to have your arguments backed up by facts, it doesn't matter what you're arguing with them about. Illegal immigration, legal immigration, media, trade deals, the international wave of national populism beyond the United States in countries like New Zealand, Germany, Italy, New Zealand, etc. It's all in there, chapter by chapter, and you have the stats and the citations there to back up your argument. And so I think it's an important book that's come out at a critical time.
Now, before we let you go, how do people find you online and get the book and everything else?
Yeah. I mean, you can follow me on Twitter at Harlan, Harlan. My website's harlanhill.com. And the book's available at Barnes & Noble, Target, Amazon. Anywhere books are sold, you can either pick it up or order it.
Fantastic. Well, I